The secret of the neighbor's sister-in-law. The sister-in-law next door has a gentle personality. Her husband works away from home for long periods, so I kindly helped repair the electric light. But since then, the light in her bedroom often broke, so I frequently found myself in her bedroom, where I witnessed the infinitely gentle side of the sister-in-law. I lay on the bed, scrolling through various videos of beautiful women on my phone, feeling extremely excited inside, my mind filled with images of the sister-in-law moving beside me, while a growing pressure in my bladder became increasingly intense. Damn, I should never have drunk that glass of water. I quietly got out of bed, lifted the quilt, and walked to the bathroom. Just as I was about to take care of my physiological needs, I heard someone knocking on the door outside. Strange, who would be knocking so late? After turning on the living room light, I opened the door to take a look. Sister-in-law, why are you knocking so late? Is something wrong? My sister-in-law was wearing pajamas, her hair loose, but her makeup was exquisite, not like she had just crawled out of bed, but rather as if she had deliberately dressed up like this. I looked at her with suspicion. Jason, the light in my bedroom is broken. Can you help me take a look? I'm home alone, and besides, I don't understand this stuff. I haven't dared to sleep at night, my sister-in-law said apologetically. All right, I'll go check it out. It shouldn't be a big problem. After saying that, I put on my shoes and followed my sister-in-law to her home. I followed my sister-in-law into her bedroom, and a fragrance hit me immediately. Sure enough, it was pitch dark. Without thinking much, I opened the circuit breaker box and checked the breaker. It had indeed tripped. I gently pushed it, and the room instantly brightened. All right, sister-in-law, it was just a power trip. Nothing serious. Luckily, you're here, Jason. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to rest alone. Sister-in-law said with a smile. The room smelled very clean, making me a bit dazed. I quickly gathered my spirits and said goodbye to my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law is my landlord. Her husband is a long-haul truck driver who caught the wave of the booming logistics era, so he earned some money and directly bought these two apartments, one big and one small. Just as I graduated from university and needed to rent a place, I rented this apartment through an agent's introduction. Brother Leo usually took good care of me. Every time he came back from driving, he would bring me some local specialties or something. His wife was also very warm to me. After a while, we became like family and often interacted. Brother and his wife didn't treat me as an outsider, and he often reminded me to help his wife out whenever I had time. After work, I would often go to my sister-in-law's house to eat and drink, and she would warmly welcome me. Since I had just graduated from university, it was hard to find a suitable job in the talent market. I came home very late every day. To earn rent, I started delivering food and packages. Sometimes, seeing me so busy, my sister-in-law would often save some food for me to eat together when I came back. However, the turning point of fate often arrives unexpectedly. That night, I left work as usual and was about to open the door to go home when I saw the light on at my sister-in-law's house, the door slightly ajar. I faintly heard crying inside. The sound was sorrowful and plaintive, which startled me. In my impression, my sister-in-law was a cheerful and optimistic person, and usually she was alone at home. Could I have misheard? But after listening carefully for a while, I realized the crying was more genuine. I quickly pushed open the door and looked toward the sound. There was my sister-in-law, Lily, sitting in the living room, covering her face with both hands, her shoulders trembling with continuous sobs. Sister-in-law, what's wrong? What happened? Sister-in-law Lily heard my voice, lifted her head, and looked at me with tear-filled eyes, her eyes red and swollen. It seemed she had been crying for a long time. Such sadness surely meant something serious had happened. After a while, her emotions gradually settled, and choking back tears, she said, Jason, your eldest brother, he, while transporting goods outside the province, accidentally slipped down a hillside. He didn't survive the accident. A wave of shock hit me. My eldest brother was such a good person. Good things should happen to good people. How could this news be so sudden? I couldn't believe what I had just heard. Is the news reliable? Big brother is such a clever person. How could he just be gone like that? I don't believe it. After hearing my words, sister-in-law cried even more sorrowfully. She lay on the sofa and cried loudly. Sister-in-law, don't be so sad. When did this happen? Where is Big Brother's body now? The urgent matter is to handle his funeral arrangements. After all, as a man, I tried to stay calm. After hearing my words, sister-in-law also calmed down. Jason, your eldest brother was an orphan. The two of us don't have many friends. Please help your sister-in-law, will you? Help me handle your brother's funeral arrangements, the sister-in-law pleaded. Sister-in-law, what are you saying? My eldest brother treated me like a real brother. I will take care of this matter to the end. I knew that at this moment, what she needed most was someone by her side to give her comfort and support. I patted my sister-in-law on the shoulder and said, Sister-in-law, don't be too sad. What has happened has already happened. No matter how heartbroken we are, we can't let it harm our health. Those of us who are alive must keep moving forward. Besides, you still have children to take care of. After hearing my words, my sister-in-law nodded, but tears still flowed uncontrollably down her face. That night, I stayed by my sister-in-law's side, constantly comforting her. We spent the entire night sorrowful like that. The next day, I accompanied my sister-in-law to handle my elder brother's funeral arrangements, feeling her grief and sadness. When we returned and I saw her face growing thinner day by day, I silently vowed to do everything in my power to help her through this dark time. So, I simply moved into my sister-in-law's house and stopped thinking about finding a job for the time being, focusing first on helping her get through this difficult period. It was such a simple decision that plunged me into a huge emotional whirlpool. Time flew by, and before I knew it, my sister-in-law and I had been living under the same roof for half a year. During these 6 months, I helped her with housework every day after waking up, tidied up the house, and since the child started middle school, I took the child to and from school every 2 weeks. My sister-in-law noticed all of this. As time passed, I gradually noticed a smile beginning to appear on my sister-in-law's face. The relationship between us was slowly undergoing subtle and complex changes. When I felt that she had already forgotten her sadness, I decided to move into my own home. That night, I prepared dinner, and my sister-in-law returned early from the market. She was in an exceptionally good mood today. Seizing the opportunity, I decided to take this chance to make things clear with her. We sat at the dining table for dinner as usual. Sister-in-law, I think there hasn't been much going on at home lately. I was wondering if I should move out since I've been living here with you for more than half a year. If I keep staying like this, people might start gossiping, I said shyly, looking down at my toes. Did something happen? Why are you suddenly saying this? My sister-in-law asked, puzzled. Nothing. I just feel that if I keep living like this, people will start talking, I said, not daring to meet her eyes, afraid she might see through me. My sister-in-law didn't say anything. I secretly looked up and saw her wiping away tears alone. After your elder brother left, I felt like the sky had fallen. I lost my pillar of support. What am I supposed to do? My sister-in-law burst into tears after speaking. I softened for a moment. But sister-in-law, living together does have many inconveniences. I'm not moving away, I'm just moving to the house opposite yours. I had originally planned to move out and find another place to live, but seeing sister-in-law like this, I changed my mind for the moment. Sister-in-law was stunned for a moment when she heard me say I was moving opposite, then said, That's good. This way it's convenient for you to live here. You also have the fingerprint lock password, and from now on, I'll take care of your meals. That won't do, sister-in-law. You also have to support the family. After Big Brother passed away, you don't have much income. At this moment, sister-in-law did not lower her head and stay silent as usual. Instead, she sat on the sofa, gently fanning herself while looking at me with pleading eyes, and said, "Jason, can you stay a little longer?" Such a big house. I haven't quite gotten used to being alone yet. Sister-in-law, I was just saying, I haven't planned which day to move out yet. I joked, sneaking a glance at her. Her face was expressionless. Recently, I noticed that sister-in-law's clothing has changed a lot, becoming bolder than before. I hadn't paid attention earlier, maybe because I was always worried about her feeling sad. I overlooked that she's only in her early 30s this year. Don't sleep in the living room tonight. You can sleep in the guest room. The child has been at boarding school for so long and rarely comes back. Sister-in-law said quietly, her voice trembling slightly with a hint of pleading. I was stunned for a moment, a surge of indescribable excitement rising in my heart. Perhaps I had forgotten that I too am a passionate young man. I tried to think, maybe my sister-in-law sees me as her elder brother. Maybe she still can't forget my brother. This can't go on. But looking into her pleading eyes, I seemed to feel a bit moved. Sister-in-law, this isn't right. After all, people outside have already started gossiping about us. Maybe I should just leave. I tried to persuade her and desperately tried to keep myself clear-headed. Sister-in-law Lily suddenly stood up. Jason, do you know? I haven't been able to sleep well for the past 6 months. I always feel that my fate shouldn't be like this. I have such a good relationship with your brother, and we are both kind people, but in the end, kindness doesn't get rewarded. Sister-in-law spoke very passionately, then paused before continuing. If there is a next life, I definitely won't let your eldest brother be a good person anymore. I've come to terms with it. I can't live like this for the rest of my life. I want to be myself. I want to live according to my own wishes. Sister-in-law grabbed my hand and said, Jason, stay here. I have a lot to say in a moment. All right, sister-in-law. I decided to stay. Since then, I continued delivering takeout, coming home very late every day. I was afraid of running into my sister-in-law, and I was also afraid of her looking at me with that kind of gaze again. I simply couldn't bear to see her eyes anymore. Even though I came home late every day, my sister-in-law would always, intentionally or unintentionally, knock on the door. She even had a key to my room. Out of respect for her, I didn't dare to lose my temper. Especially recently, I noticed that the lights in my sister-in-law's house were often dim. One day, she came knocking on the door again, and I opened it when I heard her. Sister-in-law, is there something you need? Jason, sorry to bother you so late. The light in my sister-in-law's bedroom is broken again. Could you help take a look? This time she looked at me like she used to. I quickly grabbed my tools and a flashlight and went to my sister-in-law's house. Relying on my experience, I checked the circuit breaker and the switch, but couldn't find the reason why the light wasn't working. Jason, no rush. Take your time. This light has been broken for many days, and I rarely get to see you. It's rare that you came over today to help fix it. Saying that, she poured me a glass of water. I picked up the glass and gulped down the water. Suddenly, I thought maybe the electricity bill was unpaid. Sure enough, when I opened the electric box, I found it was indeed unpaid. Unfortunately, my sister-in-law had also forgotten to recharge her electricity card. Sister-in-law, you have no money left on your electricity card. Looks like you'll have to spend the night in the dark today. Remember to pay the bill tomorrow. But what am I supposed to do tonight? I'm scared. Sister-in-law looked at me with an innocent face, then said, how about you check it again? Just as I hesitated about whether to stay, sister-in-law had already come over. With her hand warm with gentle body heat, she grabbed my shoulder. I felt her warmth and breath, and a surge of passion welled up in my heart. I knew this time I was going to fall, unable to extricate myself. I was deeply attracted by her mature charm and endless allure. Sister-in-law, After saying that, I actually didn't know what to do. Sister-in-law also cupped my face with both hands and looked me in the eyes. Her gaze was full of fire, as if a blazing flame was burning fiercely. Her eyes forced me to make a decision. Jason, I know this is wrong, but sister-in-law is human too. Your brother has been gone for so long. I also need someone to care for and cherish me. Please give me a chance. At this moment, I knew I could no longer escape. I had completely fallen into this temptation and tender embrace. So, just like countless times in my dreams, I sank deeper. From then on, I embarked on a path of no return, a boundary that should never have been crossed. This road was destined to be filled with thorns and dangers, but none of that mattered anymore. I let myself sink into loneliness within it. Since that boundary was broken, the relationship between my sister-in-law and me became even more complicated. We were deeply bound together by an invisible shackle, and neither of us could leave the other. Although I still lived in my own room as usual, my sister-in-law's door was always left open when she came back. One night, while I was sound asleep, I suddenly heard a knock on the door. I opened the door and saw my sister-in-law. "Jason, I really can't hold back anymore. I want you to come over," my sister-in-law said with a shy look. This time, she didn't even bother with the excuse of fixing the circuit and got straight to the point. Because I had just experienced my sister-in-law's infinite tenderness, I followed her without hesitation. Her eyes held a trace of sadness. I gently walked to her side, took her hand, and said, "Sister-in-law, is something troubling you?" "No, it's just that after all this time, I feel like I can't live without you anymore. What am I going to do in the future?" After saying this, my sister-in-law began to sob. "Sister-in-law, I will take responsibility for you. Please don't be sad." After saying this, I hugged her from behind, and the more she cried, the tighter I held her. After a long time, sister-in-law stopped crying. We lay facing each other, looking at her gentle face, and I felt an urge to melt. "Jason, do you love me?" sister-in-law asked at this moment. Without hesitation, I said, "Yes, sister-in-law, you are my greatest love in this life. I will never leave you, and we will be together forever." Seeing my response, my sister-in-law was extremely happy. The original look of grievance vanished completely, replaced by flames in her eyes, as if she wanted to devour me in an instant. And so, we spent a passionate night together like glue sticking tightly. However, the good times did not last long, and sure enough, rumors began to spread. Various rumors in the neighborhood came one after another. At first, I was unaware because I had little interaction due to work, but my sister-in-law, who often stayed here, heard far more unpleasant things than I did. That day, my sister-in-law could no longer bear the rumors. When we were together at night, she cried and said, "Jason, let's break up. I don't want to continue like this. I will ruin you." "Why do you say that, sister-in-law? Where did I go wrong?" I was very confused, thinking that I had been too busy lately and had neglected her. After my repeated questioning, my sister-in-law finally told me the truth. It turned out that this afternoon, when she went to the market to buy vegetables and passed by a small stall, since they were all old neighbors and quite familiar with each other, the vegetable seller quietly pulled her aside and said, "Young lady, you have to be careful. I heard that recently many people are spreading rumors that you are keeping a young man. Some even say you are promiscuous, unable to resist finding someone right after your husband died. The things they say are as nasty as they can be." My sister-in-law didn't explain much and hurried home, sulking by herself all afternoon. "Sister-in-law, don't listen to their nonsense. The feelings between us are sincere, and no one should doubt us. Besides, who says you can't find someone to rely on after losing a spouse? Others may not understand you, but how could I not understand you? As long as we love each other, that's enough to face the criticism of outsiders." However, my words did not ease sister-in-law's emotions. Her eyes remained sorrowful, and she looked extremely restless. "Jason, I used to think I had come to terms with it, but after hearing others say those things about me, I suddenly feel like I'm still the same person. Especially after losing your brother, I always feel inferior. I don't even dare to meet strangers, fearing being looked down upon. I'm even afraid that my child will be looked down upon because of me. Hearing sister-in-law say this to me, my heart ached deeply. I never expected that my brother's departure would cause such great pain to her. Even my presence has brought such trouble to her and the child. I was a bit shaken, even feeling like I was an unforgivable villain. Sister-in-law, don't be sad. I think we will find a good solution. This problem can definitely be resolved. However, as time went by, I realized that things were not as simple as I had imagined. The people in the neighborhood began to grow increasingly dissatisfied with our relationship, even starting to exclude and isolate us. My sister-in-law also faced a lot of criticism and controversy because of our relationship. She even began to grow more anxious and uneasy. Sometimes she would lose her temper with me, repeatedly saying that I had ruined her reputation and future, trying to make me leave her. But I was already deeply entangled and unable to extricate myself. One late night, my sister-in-law knocked on my door again. Since being criticized by outsiders, I had completely moved out of her house, and she rarely came to me for repairs anymore. This sudden visit caught me off guard. Jason, what exactly are you thinking? What are we going to do from now on? His sister-in-law, disheveled, stood at the door and said, After seeing me stammering, my sister-in-law roared like an angry lion. Are you just going to stand there and watch me be blamed and insulted by everyone without doing anything? Have you ever thought about our future? It was me who couldn't control my emotions, letting things come to this point. But I am also completely confused and have no idea how to resolve the current conflict. Jason, you have to give me an answer today. If you don't come up with a solution, then our relationship ends here. My sister-in-law was a bit angry. After saying that, she turned around and stopped looking at me. Upon hearing this, my heart trembled. I knew my sister-in-law had reached the point of unbearable endurance. Looking at her frail figure, I felt a pang of sorrow, and at times, an overwhelming sense of fear and confusion surged within me. I truly didn't know what to do. Should I continue like this, or decisively pull away? Should I end this doomed love? But whenever I thought of her sorrowful eyes and endless tenderness, I immediately felt that if I left her, my heart would be torn apart. Yet, what else could I do? I finally made up my mind to leave. This time, no matter how much my sister-in-law tried to hold me back, I would be resolute. If things continued like this, we would all collapse. That night, unusually, I came home early and made breakfast. My sister-in-law sensed that something was amiss. After finishing the meal, she quickly tidied up the dishes and sat down, asking, "What are your plans?" I was momentarily stunned, as if she had seen right through me. I plan to try my luck in the big city. I've heard there are more opportunities there, and outsiders aren't bullied. My sister-in-law tentatively opened her mouth, but ultimately didn't say anything to stop me. Just before leaving, my sister-in-law turned around and said, "When are you leaving?" "The day after tomorrow, the bus at 5 in the afternoon." "All right, send me the bus details, and I'll find time to see you off." After saying this, my sister-in-law turned and went back to her room. I could feel that my sister-in-law's eyes were already full of tears. On the day I left, I tidied up the house over and over again. I didn't know what I was expecting. Perhaps I was waiting for something. I recalled the scene when I first came here, the happy moments with my sister-in-law's family, and the bits and pieces that happened afterward. I couldn't help but become lost in thought, sitting alone on the sofa for a long time. After a while, I opened my sister-in-law's door. She had already gone out. I sneaked into her room, picked up the photo frame on the table, and packed it into my luggage. I soon arrived at the train station. When it was time to check tickets and enter, I didn't see my sister-in-law's figure. Perhaps she didn't want to see me again. Watching the couples coming and going at the station, seeing their sweet expressions, I felt a pang of bitterness in my heart. My love seems to be withering before it even begins. It's time for me to take the first step in my life. On the train, I found my seat, and just as I sat down, I looked out the window at the scenery and felt an overwhelming sadness inside. "Handsome, my name is Lily. Can I add you on Facebook?" The familiar voice made me look up, and I saw the face I had dreamed of. I couldn't help but feel my eyes well up, tears of excitement swirling in my eyes. "Hello, beautiful. My name is Jason."